hope you're well.
I am. I am. The campaign is taking a toll, and the scars under this government is depressing and traumatizing me. But we pray for strength.
You were, in fact, under the former administration, were a deputy minister for education. So this, you understand this better than we do. But first, before we even go to what the implications are, kindly tell us the story. How did this happen?
Sana, this is a loaded question. How did this happen? There are so many people in the chain who have questions to answer, who must take responsibility for letting our children down, for potentially poisoning millions of Ghanaian senior high school students. So let's go to the background. A company by name Lamens Investments Africa Limited, hurriedly incorporated in July 2020, and this is typical of all the MPP AKUFO-ADDO'S sweetheart deals. They quickly register a company, then they immediately give them a contract. It's single sourced, it's not competitive, they don't do any due diligence, there's no track record of these companies. I've seen it so many times. More than 95% of the exposés I have done. Very thick. That's the modus operandi. So this company with no track record is told to supply rice for our children under the free SHS program. They then import a brand of rice known as Moshosho from India. 33,000 bags. The rice arrives. They struggle to get the ports, and by the time they are clearing the rice and getting it out of the bonded warehouse, it's clear that that has just a few days so far as its shelf life is best before date is concerned. Now, Senna, this is the shocking part. You will have thought that the National Food Buffer Stock Company will stand up to protect our children, will care about our health, our safety, and they will not do anything that will jeopardize the health of Ghanaians. Would you believe, Sana, that the National Food Buffer Stock Company opened their warehouse, their storage facility in Kumasi, and then secretly asked the company Lamens, because they were working in cahoots, asked Lamens to relocate the bags of rice from Tema, the bonded warehouse, move all of them to Kumasi, their warehouse. So this is not a matter where you say that, oh, it was happening on the breast of authorities. Our authorities are complicit.
They knew.
Deep. They knew. This was happening on their premises. So when the expired rice was relocated to the buffer stock storage facility in Kumasi, they felt comfortable to operate in Kumasi. But there was a patriotic Ghanaian who was part of the operation, who it couldn't, I don't know if he or she had a child in SHS. But you see, you don't even need to have a child in SHS to be concerned about this criminal, callous enterprise. So that patriotic Ghanaian, that fine human being, decided to tip off the Ashanti Regional Police Command and then the Ashanti Regional Food and Drugs Authority. These two institutions in Ashanti region couldn't believe it. So they rushed to the scene. lo and behold, son, when they arrived, it was true. By that time, these prisoners, hoodlums, nation wreckers had bagged 15,000.
15,000.
15,000. You don't believe it. And you haven't heard the worst. Do you know where they were rebagging the rice into? The new bags that they obtained, they had inscribed Ecowas on it. And then they wrote made in Ghana. Can you believe that? And then they did not indicate the expiry date. There was no expiry date on the new bags. So 50,000 bags, you only see Ecowas, Africa Food Reserve, made in Ghana, and then no expiry date. So the comment said, hey, you guys, you people are wicked. Said all of them. And they shut down the facility. My brother, come and see calls. The high and mighty. That is when it dawned on the FDA and the Ashanti Regional Police Command that they are dealing with heavyweights, that there were many people who knew about this grand scheme. So the Ashanti Regional Police Command, and you have to give them some credit, they documented things. I have in my hands a letter written by J.J. Boy, who is superintendent in charge of crimes in Ashanti region, writing to the FDA, attaching samples of the rice that they had gone to see. They didn't, at that point, they had just locked it up, but they hadn't confiscated it. But they took samples. So they gave the samples to FDA. Will you believe, Sana, that whilst the Ashanti Regional Police Command and the FDA in Ashanti region, while they were waiting for FDA in Accra to submit the final results, the outcome of the examination, the test results, and other came that, look, you people are wasting our time. Release the criminals, also release the rice, open the storage facility, and we are coming for our rice. The SHS students need the rice, and you people should just back off. That is what happened. So,
Really?
because of the heavyweights who were coming, the people were immediately released, and the rice was sent to our schools. So I can tell you this morning, authoritatively, without any scintilla of doubt, this is unimpeachable, that our children have been fed with this expired, contaminated rice. I hold in my hands as I speak to you, and I have published this particular document where you see the heads of secondary schools planning to receive this rice. So my own alma mater,
Hello, Noble. Hello.
yes, can you hear me?
Okay, I keep losing you. I keep getting breaks in your line. You're
Oh.
talking about your alma mater, Presec.
Yes, Presec was probably one of the first schools to receive the contaminated expired rice. And what is sad about the Presec consignment is that Presec is the central distribution point for Greater Accra region. So when the supplies get to Presec, then all the schools in Accra can pick theirs. So Achimota, Labone, Accra Academy, Chemu, Tamaki, secondary, all of them, Accra girls, they all come to pick theirs. So once it goes to then all the Accra schools know that they have to go and collect their share. All of them have gone for it. The ones for Upper East Region went to Bolga Senior High, which has been shared. And one of the headmasters tells me that he raised a concern that why is it that this particular Ecowas rice that would have an expiry date? He was told to shut up and just accept the rice. And I don't know why. He also just accepted it and allowed the people to do this to our children. So by 2nd February, the documents I have, these gangsters had distributed the rice across the country. Then on the 6th of February, please take note of the dates. On the 6th of February, after the horses have bolted, after the harm has been caused, would you believe that the FDA test results confirmed that the rice had expired, was contaminated, it had insects, it was insect infested, and then it had very high fat acidity. You know me, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't know anything about medicine. So I took They said, what? They will not even give this rice to pets, to animals. And a number of them reminded me of what President Mahama said some time ago, and that this is a vindication for President Mahama. That when President Mahama said that the food that people are being fed, he will not even give the food to pets, dogs. He has clearly been vindicated. That's what the doctors are telling me. And the doctors tell me that, look, the level of insect infestation, it can cause cancer, liver cancer, and then there are all kinds of complications. So they gave me a detailed medical expert report so that readers can read for themselves. And I've stated that this is not from me. Me, I'm not a medical doctor. What do I know about medicine? These are the medical doctors saying that this is so dangerous. This is not food that should have been served any living person. Now, Senna, you haven't heard the worst. So, the FDA, I have intercepted internal memos where FDA in Ashanti region, 3 things that they recommended ought to be done. 1, immediately get the gangsters, those criminals who were rebagging the rice, and it's criminal conduct, so they know they are criminals. Immediately get them to desist. Number 2, confiscate and destroy all the rice, the 22,000 bags of rice. Destroy them. Number 3, make sure that the storage facilities of NAFCO are registered. Will you believe that this internal memo was sabotaged? The powers from above said that, oh, you FDA people, na lie, you will not implement this. Forget about it. And that is how come this rice ended up in the stomachs of our children. So look, people must be made to answer. I am calling on the IGP this morning to immediately arrest the directors of Lamens. The names of the people who were doing the rebagging are there. One of them, Simon Ajay, is a director of Lamens. Eli Dogi and all of them who were rounded up by the police. But orders came from above that they should be released. They all must be rearrested and prosecuted. Do you know that Lamens has admitted to the offense?
Okay.
They have written, I have a copy of their letter, where they write that what they did was totally unacceptable. And so they agree to pay the fine, except that they have half they will pay half and then pay the remaining later. I think they did that to pretend that they were contrite and they were compliant. After the FDA received the first half, the first 50,000, they cannot find laments. They are untouchable. So all laments has lost is 50,000 cedis. Can you believe that?
See,
50,000 cedis.
They've not even paid the 100,000, the 400,000.
No, even the 100,000 they haven't paid. Those are the kind of characters we are dealing with.
Wow.
It's so traumatizing, Senna. So traumatizing. And our children, and you see, in this analysis, let us not forget, when the rice goes to the schools, the rice is not all consumed the same day. You have to note that. The headmasters have told me that sometimes it can take 3 months, 4 months, 5 months for the entire stock to be depleted. Now we know that these expired contaminated items, the longer they stay on the shelves to be consumed later, the worse they get. They get more contaminated. I bet you if we are to test that rice today, now, or last month, it will be worse than the February results. And yet, that is what they have fed our children with throughout this year. Sana, I mean, will you even do this to war enemies? To your greatest enemies? Will you do that? Why are people putting money over their lives? Look, it's the same as a galamsey thing. Once these MPP guys see money, they don't care if our children would die, if they would have liver cancer, if they will have all kinds of health implications for the rest of their lives. They don't care. Once they are in a position to make millions and billions, everybody else can die. How did this country end up in the hands of such unconscionable characters, such mass murderers? How did we get here?
Oh, so far, I've checked from the newspapers, from my colleague media portals. I've checked the various institutions that have involved their social media handles, among others. Absolute silence. Nobody has said anything. Are you sure of the things you've put out?
Sana, every single document I put out there, I've checked out, I've checked them out, I've done validation, I've spoken to people. I'm not making anything up. You've seen the letter from J.J. Boy from the Ashanti Regional Police Command. I've spoken to him. So it's not just about his letter. The FDA people, the sample that they tested, I've spoken to them. That's why I have the test results. So, you see, I know what is going on behind the scenes. We are talking about criminals who have made money. They are buying people, in the media in particular, not to publicize these things. And why is it that all these institutions, why are they silent? If I'm making a story up, they should come after me and put reputation. Why is the National Food Buffer Stock Company quiet? Because they have been indicted on multiple fronts. One, they didn't register their facility, violating our laws. And that CEO, Abdul Wahab, is the MPP parliamentary candidate in Pusiga. He has to be dealt with. The board chairman of NAFCO is Nana Bachi Nana B, the MPP organizer. So are you surprised that MPP media outlets are silent, pretending they haven't seen this? But it's our children who are dying. It's our children who we are poisoning. The FDA, why are they silent? At least, I'm not happy with them that they didn't stand up to these heavyweights. They didn't resist the pressure. could have even asked Charles, the heads of institutions, not to receive this rice. They should not have obeyed those orders that the rice should be distributed before the FDA test results arrived. They should not have allowed that. The Ghana Police Service that allowed these arrested mass murderers to get away. Why did they allow that? So there are multiple institutions who have combined, colluded to bring us to this point. And they also have questions to answer. And you see, this scandal just how corrupted it is. That there's media silence as well. Silence FDA, silence our headmasters, our heads of institutions, CHAS, our labor unions. Everybody is quiet. They've been collecting rice without expiry date, feeding our children all these months. They are afraid to talk.
Honorable. Okay, yes. So I keep having that difficulty with you. You are also a member of parliament. How can we get some accountability at this time? Or because it's an election, there's little that can be done?
We have a strategy. Parliament will take a serious view of this matter. My committee, the Assurances Committee, is also looking at this. The challenge of all the crisis with Parliament. Committees can work, and so at the level of leadership and at the level of committees, we are looking into this. I will also be filing a complaint with the Ghana Police Service tomorrow when I return to Accra, dealing of these guys. So there's going to be a lot of activity. These guys are not going to be allowed to get away. They can decide to buy everybody, silence everybody. They cannot silence us. And we are going to pursue this matter. Fortunately, in the next few days, we have an election. We have a new government that's going to take over, and we have the tons of evidence. Parliament now, in the next few days, there will be another reason why we must vote out the cartel. Don't care about that. So that's why we call this scandal money over lives. You know, they simply don't care. All our SHS students can die once they make their money. That is it. Everybody else can go to hell. Their days are numbered. We have the evidence now, and we are coming after them.
Honorable, thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
You're most welcome.
That's Honorable Samuel OKUDZETO ABLAKWA joining us. Like I said. Yeah, it's difficult to know what to say in this kind of situation, to be very, very frank. I can go back to the history of what has happened, what it means, but ordinarily anywhere else where this is disclosed. Because you see, every institution down the chain, Ghana Police Service, Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Standards Authority, are all state institutions. What that means is that the government, by setting up the institutions, that ensures that the spitefools do not find themselves onto the tables of Ghanaians, have committed to the highest of standards. So it means that if any group of people should be found engaged in this kind of conduct, it should never be people who work within the government, who work for states, and those who are supposed to lead the direction of the state. My attention has also been drawn to the fact, and I'm looking at some of the videos he actually shared, that Kevin Taylor actually talked about this as far back as May, and actually pointed fingers and named names back then. Well, that's even more worrying. Perhaps we're not paying good attention enough. And so far, to be very frank, a lot of my friends in the media are avoiding talking about this. This will bring down a whole government anywhere else. Because this, and there are many things that this government has confronted that should not have ended as scandal number 1, scandal number 2. That should have brought down the government. They survived PDS, which is a non-survivable. Is one of the things that no government would ever survive anywhere in this world. Are we doing a good enough job as people in the media? Are we paying attention? And are we avoiding certain things that are put in the media space? If Kevin Taylor said it in May, Honorable OKUDZETO ABLAKWA has emphasized it and put out more documents. Kevin Taylor put out the document from the beginning. Honorable OKUDZETO ABLAKWA has put out more documents. And we are all acting like we haven't seen it. And this involves lives. What you feed students of the... So we put government itself that is responsible. So Nana AKUFO-ADDO appoints somebody to head the FDA. They're supposed to uphold the highest standard when it comes to food in this country. Appoints a board that's supposed to do same. Ensure that the man who is made CEO follows and sees through those standards. That's President AKUFO-ADDO'S duty. President AKUFO-ADDO appoints a standards authority. There's a health ministry that is in charge of the Ghana Health Service. There's an education ministry. There's the National Food Buffer Stock Company. National Food Buffer Stock Company was formed by under Professor Mills. What was he supposed to do? Deal with the issues of scarcity of food. In doing that, National Food Buffer Stock Company has no business ever touching or dealing with food that is expired and contaminated. Because this is government feeding its people. Government should be the last institution that should be feeding people expired food. Talk less of children. What kind of recklessness and criminal conduct is that? And nobody, up till now, nobody. So in May when Kevin Taylor said it, you didn't say anything. Nana B, you have been granting many interviews. You are board chair of National Food Buffer Stock. They say your office facilitated part 2 in rebagging expired rice. May. Now it's raised again. You are campaigning. To do what? To come and kill more people? None of you has responded. Nobody. Not at all. Because the documents are out there. The details of the committee reports. The letters that have been issued. So you are saying this since then. The selectivity of what to respond to, what to deal with. Oh, forget him. He there. How do we do this? So, can we ever say this is enough? Do we have to take money for everything? What are we doing? So, this thing is put out yesterday. So, let's assume all of you, the way people disparagingly treat whatever Kevin Taylor put out. Let's assume you, like you always do, you dismiss him. Then a member of parliament puts this out. Up till now, not knowing the Ghana Police Service has been involved. Food and Drugs Authority has been involved. They know about all this. So they've seen all this. Nobody's responding. Nobody from the government is saying anything. They are campaigning. So the same woman whose child was fed this food is the one the government is telling that vote for me to maintain free SHS. Question: how many times have you imported expired goods into this country and engaged in the criminal conduct of repackaging them into bags that have Ecowas on it? In fact, Alaska, you have that picture of the rice. Bags that have Ecowas written on it. So you're suggesting that Ecowas actually sent us these rice. These bags of rice was sent to us by Ecowas. And you do this, and they put it out in the media. Nobody says anything. What are we? Why are we raising a mob? Is the government the mafia? What kind of conduct is our government engaging? Because the fact that you're silent and nobody has been held accountable, the man remains and is running on your ticket in Pusiga.